And good morning, everyone. I'm Todd Duplantis. Welcome to Up to the Minute. It is Tuesday, and we are all away at March 24th. And of course, this is another day of working remotely, but bringing you HCC news, events, happenings, things you need to know as we're all living in this new world as a result of COVID-19, which is still being addressed across the Houston, the Harris County, and the nation as well. I'm joined this morning by three guests. We've got Brittany Pacheco, who is our co-host for the show. Brittany's going to be answering your social media questions shortly. Also, Dr. Norma Perez, Vice Chancellor, Instructional Services and Chief Academic Officer. She'll be answering questions that will be related to our students and some things that you may be asking out there. But first, we'll talk with Dr. Shantay Grays, our Vice Chancellor of Students, with more information on students. Dr. Grays, we've got more changing information today as Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo and also the Mayor of Houston, Sylvester Turner, just announced not really a locked-in situation, but they're saying stay home and work from home, and they're asking for folks' activities to be limited. I guess this is really no big surprise to you because we're kind of preparing for that already.
Yes, and thank you. Good morning, Todd. Yeah, we have in a series of occurrences. I think, as you know, we have been planning over the past 2.5 weeks for a sort of a worst case scenario with the understanding that this global impact has been so significant that it has caused many governmental officials to take these extreme measures, really requiring that individuals shelter in place or stay at home, and it really is for the good of our society and as a global entity, right? And so we're asking our students to prepare for the same type of environment.
And we've been preparing for that for a couple of weeks. I know the COVID-19 task force has been working behind the scenes, literally. You guys are working 24 hours a day in many cases. But why are we asking students to complete training this week? I know there's some things that we need to talk about, but what are we asking students to complete training this week, and what does it cover?
So we recognize that many of our students are new to this online learning environment. And in order to ensure their success and to ensure that they are comfortable and prepared for the start of classes, which begin on Monday, March 30th, we want to give them all of the tools necessary to ensure that they're prepared. Navigating the new Canvas, which is our learning management system, and the platform that will hold all of their instructional delivery. We are also providing some essential information around the student support services that have now forced us to provide in a remote environment and make them accessible to our students. We want students to take advantage of this training while they can. I think it is important that especially for those students who've never taken an online course, to just get familiar with logging in and accessing the course content and connecting with their instructors, because that's going to be important as we all navigate this new normal, right? So ensuring that they follow those links that are available and respond to the short survey that follows that process, because we want their feedback about their experiences as well.
What about our students who don't have access to internet or internet services at home? Is there anything that HCC is doing as a whole to help out those students?
We are, and I'm so excited to share that there's finally, it's one of these situations where we know that many of our students have this need, and out of this crisis comes a really huge benefit for our students. So many of our students have received, and if not, they will continue to receive the student equipment questionnaire. We are asking all students to respond to that questionnaire that allows the administrators to understand what their equipment needs are. And then based on that response, they'll receive an electronic communication, again, for inquiring about the next steps and directing them to submit an electronic emergency technology request form. So the institution has committed some amount of resources to address those equipment needs or Wi-Fi needs for our students, but funding is limited. So we're encouraging students to apply and complete that document as soon as possible.
You know, I've seen the email go out, and I've also seen a lot of folks sharing it in social media, and we do appreciate you doing that. Also, it's a good time to, if you're not doing so, to follow us in social media so that you guys can get the information out there, such as these student surveys. Students, if you're getting emails from us at HCC, please do pay attention to those. If you're not getting the emails, you may have opted out of our emails at one time. Now is a good time to go back in and subscribe. And it's also important to get out there that if you are either faculty, students, or staff, to go into PeopleSoft and make sure we have your correct cell phone number as your primary phone number. That way, when we do send out a text and you guys are trying to communicate with them, we make sure that they are getting those communications, because it's important that you get responses from students so you can make decisions in your office.
That's right, Todd. And we want to ensure that we're staying connected in every way possible. So we're also encouraging students. You may have opted out of receiving text messages from us at one point. You may want to do that. I'm going to ask at this time that you just reconsider it, because we need to use every method of possible communications to share updates and information that's necessary for the success for the remaining of the semester.
How can students access the various student service support options that your team provides now that the locations are closed and we're all doing things remotely?
So good news is all of the student support services that we've provided on campus are available in remote form. That includes our advising, our career services, our counseling services as well. You have, as part of the training that students will complete, the Success Seminar, it provides very specific instructions on how to connect with their advisor, as well as how to request access to resources through our counseling offices or our financial aid offices. But that provides very succinct information, and students are able to navigate virtually through those loops that are included in the communications that we're sending out. We're also asking for students to call the contact centers. We have a number of help desks that are available online. That are available by phone. Just calling the 713-718-2000 number. Option 1 gets students to our advising admissions and registration department. And option 2 takes them directly to financial aid.
So we're getting a couple of technical problems as we're moving in this remote environment. And all of us, when we're not talking, I'm being asked to please mute your microphone. So we'll take that. And if you are watching us online, keep in mind, we're navigating through a few things. We're going to get this right as we move forward in the future. But we've got a couple of days. We set up for online last week. We were testing things out, but we're learning as we go along. And realistically, I guess we're all doing that as we're working out of a virtual office space in a virtual world right now, Dr. Grays.
It's the life that we live. It is, and we are sensitive to, as you just experienced and saw from some of our challenges just now, our students are going to have the same challenges. We are confident in saying that our faculty will be amenable and they will understand. Many of our faculty members are also having some of the same technological challenges. We're having a number of issues regarding broadband access across the city. So we recognize these challenges. This is an unprecedented event, and we're going to help students get through this every step of the way. We ask that you just be patient with us as we are working through a number of these things to address as they arise. But we're going to ensure that we do everything possible to work through this process with our students, to provide them the resources that they need to ensure that they're successful, and to get them closer to their career objective or their objective for transferring to another institution upon their completion with HCC.
Dr. Shantay Grays, I know you're very busy right now. Thank you for taking the time and joining us on the show. And we look forward to hearing more from you as we navigate through all of this. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Todd, for having me.
And right now, I'd like to introduce Dr. Norma Perez. She is the Vice Chancellor of Instructional Services and our Chief Academic Officer. Dr. Perez, thanks for being on the show today. This week, faculty and staff are focused on getting ready for classes to resume online starting on Monday. Now, what resources have been developed to assist them with this transition, with trainings and other items like that?
Well, first of all, Todd, thank you for having me on the show. We've been working with our faculty for the past week or so in terms of trying to give them the appropriate training that they need. We have actually condensed a training that usually takes about a couple of months into a 3-hour short-term training program for all of our faculty. We have set up a resource page for all of our faculty to be able to log into and find resources that will help them develop their courses. We have identified faculty mentors to work with our faculty side by side to assist them in developing their course for those faculty, especially that have had little to no Canvas experience. So we're providing them as many resources as we can to ensure that they are prepared and ready to receive our students.
You mentioned some good points there in the news business when we had items come out, and there was one thing that stood out. We always called it burying the lead. And one thing I want to mention is you mentioned something about a course that normally would take 6 months, and you guys are doing this in days. That's an incredible undertaking for people to keep in mind.
It definitely is, and I have to admit that our faculty, they are outstanding. There's been no pushback from them. We are really stretching them. It's a new opportunity for them. It's a new ground for them, just like it is for our students. So we're trying to prepare all of them, including our faculty, to be sensitive to the fact that we are treading new ground, but at the same time, so are our students. So as a result of that, we are wanting to be more sensitive and taking into account that our students are also doing the same thing.
Sounds like a lot has already been put in place for support to faculty, but what about folks during this transition who need help in gaining access to equipment? For example, if they left their computers up at the office during spring break, how are we addressing that?
Well, unfortunately, as you know, our facilities are closed and will be closed until further notice. So for those faculty that, for whatever reason, left their equipment in their office, we are asking that they complete the technology request form that is online so that a computer can be issued to them for the remainder of this time period that we will be without access to our offices.
There's been some questions in social media about addressing ADA issues. How are those being handled right now?
Instruction has been working very closely with our ADA counselor and director of counseling. And so we are working to continue to accommodate those students, whatever accommodations they had. We will provide those accommodations. We just have to think differently in terms of how those accommodations are provided via an online modality.
Is there anything else you'd like to add with the faculty and staff or even the students regarding how we're moving forward with instructional services now that looks like we're headed, at least for the time being, all online?
Yes, we are headed definitely all online. We are addressing some other areas that of our courses that cannot be provided online. So those are all being discussed, and those are things like our skills lab. Anything that we can provide online, we're providing, but we know that there's going to be some exceptions. In addition to that, we've got, as I mentioned earlier, we've got some great faculty. Right now, we have one outstanding faculty, Dr. Richard Goslin, who has been working with our faculty in our faculty virtual lounge. And he's identified 9 what we would call Canvas power users. And so these individuals are going to be on WebEx conducting 1-hour sessions for our faculty who feel that they still need some additional assistance in some particular areas. And this is going to be ongoing until April the 3rd. We will continue to provide them the support, especially for those who have no Canvas experience. Their mentor will be along with them within their course to address any issues that may surface. We do have a call center that will address any questions for our faculty and our staff and our students. And that number is 713-718-5295. and it'll direct them to get the appropriate assistance that they need. In addition to that, again, we will all be on call to address any other concerns that they may have. Faculty have already reached out to their students, which is important. What you indicated earlier in the session, that students need to look at their HCCS emails. Because at this point, if they don't have the Canvas experience, because most of the communication, once we set up a Canvas shell for the course, the communication is normally done through Canvas. But in this case, our faculty treat those students who have not experienced Canvas. The means of communication for right now is through their HCCS email.
Dr. Perez, thank you. You know, I didn't get a chance to ask Dr. Grays earlier, but I've got a couple of fun questions I want to throw out there. And I've got a question for you I'm going to ask you. And maybe if Dr. Grays is standing by, I've got a question for her. I've got 5 questions we're asking all of our guests starting from here on. Here's one for you. During this time, what is your go-to place for takeout food?
Well, actually, I was out at Olive Garden yesterday. That was where I went.
All right, there you go. Olive Garden. Is Dr. Grays still available? Dr. Grays, are you still available for us? Because I've got a question for you as well.
I am. I'm still here. Thanks, Todd.
What is the best song right now during this event that puts you in a good mood?
Oh, right now, I would have to say it is I Will Survive.
There you go. I've heard that a few times. All right, we appreciate it. Thank you both for joining us today and keeping our students up to date. And I'm sure we'll be hearing from you a lot as we move through this new world we're in. Brittany Pacheco is joining us right now. And Brittany, you've been answering social media questions. I've got a question for you. What's the best meme you've recently seen involving this COVID crisis that we're in?
I don't think I could answer that question because it's wildly inappropriate. So.
Oh, well, one that's appropriate.
You know, there's been a lot of really funny memes and just people coming up with their clever comebacks and ideas. And funny enough, I think the best ones are the ones that are inappropriate. So I cannot discuss that on the air. Sorry.
Brittany, okay. All right. Well, let's get on some things you can discuss with us. I know we've had a lot of questions in social media. As this video goes live, we had an incredible audience yesterday. We do appreciate you watching. Please share the video as you have been doing so we can get the word out to the community and to our HCC folks. But a lot of folks have been commenting with questions, which we certainly encourage, and you have some that you'd like to address this morning. What are you seeing out there?
Absolutely, Todd. So one of the questions that we were getting were from several of our Coleman College students who are in the middle of doing their clinicals. And so they had questions about how to proceed with those clinicals. And we have heard back from Coleman, and from our understanding, clinicals are still being scheduled based on the availability of the clinical site. However, most have been suspended. So the best information that we can provide to our Coleman students is basically to contact your program director for specifics about your program and how to proceed with your clinicals, because as we've all been saying this entire time, the health and safety of our students, faculty, and staff is of the utmost importance. But keep having that dialogue with your program directors, your instructors, anyone that you just need those specific answers to. And again, as always, you can send us a direct message. You can comment on this broadcast as we are going live. I know we've had a couple people who joined us. Shout out to Niecy Hamilton, who said good morning to Todd and myself.
Yeah,
and we have someone who's watching, Evangeline, who says "Happy" is her go-to song.
Oh yeah, I remember that song coming out not long after I joined HCC, and it seemed like it was everywhere, you know. So
yes.
I haven't heard it in about 4 years, so I would be happy to hear it again. Back then, I just didn't want to hear it, you know.
Exactly. So again, to reiterate, Coleman students who are doing clinicals, yep. Most of the clinicals have been suspended. However, it's also based on the availability of the clinical site. Best information and best advice, please contact your program director and your instructors for those specifics on your program. That way you have the most correct information directly from the program.
And some of the other questions, is that the main one? Do you have others that you wanted to address?
Yeah, I mean, we've got plenty of others. Students, like we said yesterday, we're going to be completely transparent. We don't have the answers for everything right now, just because this is such a unique situation. And as you've heard from Dr. Grays and Dr. Perez, they're on that task force who are working tirelessly to provide the best policies and procedures for the students. This is uncharted territory. We went through that yesterday. Please be patient with us, and we're going to get you those answers as soon as we have those answers for you. I know grades, of course, are a concern. Yeah. Canvas is a completely new platform for many students, and I think Dr. Perez addressed the question about, well, how will these skill labs be taught? Those who take welding or other types of labs, it's kind of, from my understanding, and Dr. Perez, please correct me if I'm wrong, it's going to be a case-by-case situation. Some classes may be offered completely online, others may be hybrid, others are based on appointment.
That is correct. That is correct, Brittany. Again, we're trying to be as creative as we can. And so we know that there are some simulations online that will help provide some of that hands-on training, but we also know that there are some that we cannot. So again, we'll have to work on how do we modify that, and how do we ensure that again, the students receive the appropriate training they need to successfully complete that course.
Thank you. So students, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. And again, we appreciate your patience and support, working with us. Also, what we're going to do, we're going to post these questions on our social media pages with a big graphic. That way you can see it. And we'll have those answers that we have at this point. But also financial aid. Everyone, I know financial aid is a big question. So what I would advise all of our students who are questioning about financial aid to do is to go to our HCC website. There is an FAQ available under our COVID-19 site, and you can get there by going to hccs.edu/health-notice. There will be a link for student resources, and when you click on that link, you'll be able to see just kind of like a bullet list of different resources available to our students, and you'll see a section that says financial aid FAQs.
That's right, and that's all together site. It's not just for students, it's for students, faculty, staff. There are resources for everyone on that website. If you didn't catch, it's hccs.edu/health-notice, or you can go to the hccs.edu website. Across the top is a red banner. You click on that. It takes you down to drop down menus and resources for everyone on that site. So please bookmark that page and check it regularly. All the new information is placed in there, and there's a lot more things. You may, if you haven't visited the site yet, you need to, because there's really a lot of stuff on there that from FAQs to lots of resources that would help people.
Yeah, and I want to reiterate that is definitely true for all of our faculty and staff, as well as our students. There's important information for everyone to know exactly where we are, what are we doing. If you have any specific questions, I can almost guarantee that the answer is going to be there.
Thank you, Dr.
Yeah,
Perez.
right.
Yep. Go ahead, Brittany.
Thank you. So, yes, we have a lot of questions. Like I said, they're still trickling in. And once we have all of those answers for you, students, faculty, and staff, we will get back to you as quickly as possible. And while I mentioned faculty, I have seen on Twitter a couple of our faculty members who are very much engaging with students on social media, just to provide, to be a resource to students. And, shout out to our faculty and staff who are, stepping up and being there for our students, because this is who we're here for. As an alumni of HCC, I think it's great that, we're coming together during this time, even during our spring break. We're supposed to be off. We're supposed to enjoy our time off, but no, many of us were still working, answering questions. And so, big shout out to our faculty and staff at HCC who are working tirelessly for our students.
And Brittany, having said that, Todd, I can tell you that my song is "We Are Family."
I like that. I like that. Brittany, you got a song that puts you in a good mood?
There's too many to name. You know, it's hard to pinpoint at this point. It's just whatever keeps you going, just jam it, you know, put it on repeat and just get through your day.
Well, you know, about 5 years ago, I actually bought another turntable. So I've been collecting old vinyl albums again. They make them new nowadays. So I've actually
Nice.
listening to the whole album, which is unheard of. Blows your mind these days. The whole album. So it's nice. The main thing is we will be updating you every morning at 10 a.m. and throughout the day. I do have a live stream scheduled at 1 p.m. to talk about technology. People are using WebEx, Zoom, all types of technology for their office to keep in touch with their family and friends across the nation. We're going to bring in a high-tech expert for a special issue topic. That's at 1 p.m. today, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll have that show on as well. So if you do have questions, please comment below or send us a direct message. We are always here to answer your questions, and we will get to them as we get the answers for you. Thanks to all of you for joining us on our show today. Thank you to my guests. Thanks, Brittany, for being here, and we will see you tomorrow on Up to the Minute. Have a great day.